if we look at the health and care system, if we look at the justice system, wherever we look, the system's been around a hell of a long time and never dealt with the basic sense of what is our identity of self? How do we kind of express that identity in terms of how we work with our people and how we then interact with the end user? If it's based on power over, if it's based on domination, then there's going to be a shadow involved, and then there is going to be problems. And until there's a root and branch shift, and then in a lot of these organizations, I'm afraid, it's my belief, not a lot's going to change.
So it's really interesting you brought up the panorama thing, because my phone was buzzing with, people saying, did you see it? Did you see it? You need to go in and help them. They need help, blah, blah, blah. Lots of people, say, knowing the work I do. And, interestingly enough, I tried that many years ago. I spent a good 3 years intensely working with police, and this is your shadow stuff that you're talking about. Firstly, I was treated very badly, and I could give you a couple of really good examples. But secondly, the conclusion I come to is the shadow is so strong, and I wouldn't have used those words before sort of talking to you about it, but the shadow is so strong that they will not trust anyone external to, there's just no way. You have to have a connection to that system. There's just no space for trust externally. And I'll just give you a very small example. I went to what I thought was a meeting in a local police station about, the crime in the area and stuff, because the work we were doing on the streets. And it actually was a telling off. And it was a telling off because the restorative work that I'd done had deprived an officer of an arrest. And I was sat in a meeting being torn off a strip, not prepared for this meeting. And I was given a mug. They offered me a cup of tea, and I was given a mug. And on the side of it was a picture of a woman. And as the heat of the tea met the ink on the mug, the woman's clothes came off, and they thought it was hilarious to give me that mug. And they literally told me off and laughed at me. So, and I've got multiple of these experiences, and there was no one to tell.
I'm sorry you had that experience, Maria. And there you go. You've come in as an outsider to bring some light, to bring some wisdom to an organization that needs it. And this is how you're treated as a person with your experience, with your understanding and with your capacity to actually bring change. And everything is in that example you've just given about why organizations will struggle unless they're prepared to do what's necessary and have a real. You spoke about it earlier on. You talked about the mirror. Unless all organizations are prepared to stand in front of that mirror and see the darkness for what it actually is. But it's so deep. How do we even start this? How do we even go there? Well, I have an easy answer to that. One by one, each individual taking responsibility for their own sense and their own shadow. If each individual says, well, actually, there is something I need to look at for me. There is stuff that, maybe the way as a senior police officer, I treat my children, I treat my wife. Maybe there's something within that kind of how I use power. Maybe I need to look at that. And that's where the change starts. We don't need to change the whole organization because we don't ever get there. But one by one, individuals taking responsibility for the actions that they bring. And we all know what we're doing with ourselves. I know little areas sometimes when I'm sat in my car and I'm suddenly going to beep the one and say, there you go. You're projecting your anger onto someone else's. Some of your deep-seated feelings that you're not comfortable with, it's them lot in the traffic who's causing your problems. I'm not the problem because although I'm part of the traffic.
Yeah, so, exactly.